So.
All right, so we're down here with Alex Marine in the TaylorMade Tour van down here at the 150th Open Championship. The guys have had I guess they have a busy couple of days. It's the end of the end of the week for them, but it's going to be busy on the leaderboard by the looks of things. Alex, you're going to show us around?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks very much.
No worries. So yeah, a little bit chaotic this morning. Basically, we are going through all the clubs we've built this week and just chucking some names on them. We're maybe pulling them apart if the players aren't going to reuse them, but for the most part, the players will reuse them and will keep them on the truck. So this week has been a lot of the new stealth driving irons. So there's one for Tiger there, I've just labelled up. So we built him about 4 or 5, different shafts, different lengths, different lofts. So we'll keep them on here, probably for next year. And then there's a couple for Colin. So same sort of thing, we'll test Colin in some different lofts, lengths and shafts. So altogether they've gone down really well. So yeah, as I say, I'm just going through them this morning and seeing what we might reuse or not reuse. Rory's put it in play. Here's one we actually made for him. He's put it in play and he's absolutely loving this. Drove the green on 18 in the practice round pretty comfortably with it, 345 yards. So yeah, it's been a busy week, but a good week. And here is our players' slots. So this is all of our staff players for TaylorMade worldwide. So you see your icon players across the top there. And then as we go down, that's the European Tour guys, which we see week in, week out. And so they'll come on, they'll get 3 caps, 4 gloves, and 3 boxes of ball. That's every week. So we get through the balls pretty quick, as you can imagine. But a quite cool thing we do is, as like an incentive, when a player wins, they get a personalised golf ball, basically. So they can pick a number, they can pick a logo, anything they like. So Robert McIntyre's from Scotland. I'll get some out for you. He plays a Scottish flag on the side of his golf ball, as you do. A couple of other lads, Nikolai Hogard, he's into the F1, so he's got 44 for Lewis Hamilton, his number there. So that's 44. That'll be on every single golf ball. And then, yeah, Robert McIntyre, he's gone for a number 96. And he's gone for, these are like a proto, so they're in like a white box, but be in a normal box soon. So he's got the Scottish flag on the side there. So it's just quite a cool little incentive we give the guys, and they can pick anything they like within reason. So yeah, that's kind of your soft goods section of the truck. These cupboards are just storage, so when these get low, we'll just replenish them. All of these caps and gloves, some of them are kind of custom made to fit the player's head and hand. Everyone's obviously quite unique, quite different there. And then this side of the truck, this is where I'll work. So this is the workshop where I'll build all the golf clubs, and I'll be working away. My colleagues Sam and Mark, they'll bring me an order sheet, which is a little bit like this. So this is one I've got for next week. It will have the head, loft, lie, length, swing weight, and they'll chuck it down here. So it's a bit like I'm working in a kitchen. I'll have a line of orders, and they'll all have a time needed by, and I'll work through them and prioritise them, and get them out to the guys whenever they need it. And in these drawers, these are all my ingredients. So you've got all the different heads. So this was full at the beginning of the week, so you can imagine, it kind of shows how busy we've been. But these are tour tested. So essentially, just to get rid of a myth, these are the same heads you get in the shops, but they're pulled from the same line. They're just tested a couple of times more to make sure they're within the legal limit of speed for the face. And then we get the exact lie, loft, face angle, and the head weight. So basically it allows us to better fit a player. So we can see face angle here. If we know Rory or someone likes the face nice and open, we probably wouldn't pick this one because it's quite neutral, it's quite square. Whereas you'll find another face in here that's 0.4 open. You've got one there which is 0.4 closed. So it's totally player dependent. And then the exact same thing for the fairway woods, 3, 5 woods, 7 woods. The exact same thing going on there with the labels. So again, that was totally full. So it's been a busy week. So you've got your heads, and then we obviously need a shaft. So the colours here correlate to manufacturers. So all of these guys give us brilliant support, and we've got reps out here. They'll come on if they see we're low, they'll top it up for us. So there's a constant supply. And along the top, we've got all of our staff players here, and they've got a backup set of wedges, irons, and woods in there. So if there's a breakage or a bag goes missing, we've got all the bits up there that they need. It's old school D+ wood shafts. McIntyre's got a shinty ball in there. Yeah, we've been out there this week playing a little bit outside the trucks, just to give him some. I mean, he finishes his round, he just wants a bit of fun and just to, you know, just to rest up. So we come and have a bit of fun, takes his mind off golf at the end of the day. So yeah, that's your backup sets. All your shafts in there. They've got different weights, different flexes. You know, some go high, some go low, some spin high, and that's kind of our job to fit them. And then you've got a few more heads over here. This is like the wedge and iron section. This is our MG3s. Again, different bounces, lofts, high bounce, low bounce. We've got the MG3s, we've got the high toes, which are very popular in the 58s and 60s. So you've obviously got full score lines across the face in the 60s. And essentially, does what it says in the tin. So typically when you open the face in a bunker or deep rough, your strike point would move towards the high toe. So because these have got the full score lines and the extended toe area, this is a great wedge in the lob wedge. So we have a lot of success with that out here. And then another draw which has been incredibly popular this week is the driving iron draw. So you've got your new UDIs, your DHYs, 790, 770. So I mean, there was probably double the amount of stock in there at the beginning of the week. So again, yeah, you've got your heads, your shafts, and then the last thing you obviously need is your grip. So this is every player's backup set of grips. So every player is unique. They like to feel it slightly different in the hands. Lucas Herbert, for example, from Australia, he plays the kangaroo leather, so it's very sticky. So the more humid it is, the more sweaty his hands get, the stickier the grip gets. So we actually get those over from Gripmaster in Australia. Tommy Fleetwood plays an Iomic grip, which is quite plasticky, quite a slippy compound. He normally plays them in blue because his colours for Everton, for his football club. And then you've got Tiger Woods, which plays the corded grip, which he's played forever. So yeah, all these guys. Sergio with his blue and yellow Europe team colours. And then in the rest of these drawers is like backup stock. These are for our European Tour guys, which we'll see every week. Just same again, a backup set for each player. So yeah, that's kind of your components. And then all of this machinery here is what I need to put those three components together. And this is all calibrated to our HQ in Basingstoke. So the same equipment, it's all calibrated, and that allows us to have, you know, minimal error and provide these guys with the best service.
Wood bending.
Exactly that, yes. So basically, we've got the ability on here, which is a little bit different from retail, that we can, this is a clamp, so the head will go in here with the club. We'll get that in there, and that's just on a compressor. And then we've got a bending bar, which we can make it flatter, more upright, take loft off, add loft on. So that's kind of quite a unique piece to this truck. And then this is probably our most used and most important piece of equipment. It's called the Dela Cruz. So we will pop a driver in here. I'll show you how it works. So we'll pop a driver, and this will allow us to get the exact loft and the exact lie of a driver, and also face angle we can do on here as well. So I'll line this up with the score lines. So the exact lie angle on that driver is 58, just over 58.5. And then we can also tell loft. And the loft on this driver is 8.75. So what that means for us is that we can record this spec for this player, and if he has a breakage or he needs a backup head, we will find a head that is the exact same loft and lie, essentially. So that's quite an important piece of kit on this truck, and we use that on pretty much every build we do. And then similarly, you've got just to the left of you there is the loft and line gauge for this is for irons and wedges. So similar sort of thing, just pop the club in there, get it nice and square. And then you've got the exact loft and the exact lie for each club with this dial here. So again, we have a spec file on our system which is shared within the US team, our team, and the guys in Australia. They can log on to our live system and it has all the specs. So if I update one now, it will shoot through an update on the US system, so they can see all the changes that are being made. And if anything happens, like last week there was a European Tour event in the US and 2 of our guys' clubs didn't turn up. So they just logged onto the system, saw the spec, built a full bag, and they were luckily just in time, they could go and play the tournament. So
I've heard a few stories like that the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, travelling's not the easiest, not the funnest at the moment, but hopefully it gets better.
I see the stamping anvil and the stamps.
Yeah.
And they're paint. Do you do a bit of stamping?
Yeah, so there's a player, one of our Spanish players, he loves it. I will show you. He just, every time we build him wedges, he always wants them stamped. He's a good guy. It takes a little bit of time, especially to get it neat and to look good. So he always has silly stuff on there. A lot of the time I don't really know what it means. We can kind of fill that with any colour. We've got letters, numbers. Quite a cool thing we do for our European Tour players is when they get a win, we've got some star stamps there. So every win, we'll put a stamp on their wedge, a bit like on the football kits. Yep. And the aim is to, when they look at it, it reminds them, of the great tournaments they've played, and to try and fill that wedge up with as many stars as possible.
So this is magnetite.
It's like a 20 kilogram anvil, and we've drilled some magnets into the top of it. Yeah. So the club sticks on there, and it's not going anywhere. And then I'll normally put a bit of tape underneath, so I've got like a guide for my letters, so I keep them nice and straight. But the hardest thing is getting the spacing good and the depth. You've got to get the depth of the stamp good. It's just practice. Yeah. It was in lockdown. I was pretty bored, so it gave me something to do. A lot of wedge heads were stamped up during that lockdown. And then this side is, you've got your ferrule belt, so neatening up the ferrule. We'll run the ferrule on that and then polish it up. Yeah, it's not too.
It's just a bit of paper.
Yeah, it's a bit of cloth really, and it goes round, and it'll just neaten that ferrule up.
Just give it a bit of acetone then to polish it up.
Exactly that. Yeah, and then you've got your grinding machine here. So typically I've got a wedge here which I'll find for you for Roman Langasque. He has quite a specific grind on his lob wedge, which I did earlier this week. And a lot of these guys, like DJ, like I was saying earlier, came on and it was bouncing a little bit, his wedge. So essentially, he was telling me that the bounce of the club there, when at impact, was coming in a little early, it was bouncing and it was catching low in the grooves. So what I did was shave some off the leading edge to make it sit squarer. And then I took the bounce off the back edge here, so it sat a little more flush to the ground. And when it was coming in, he was getting a cleaner strike and it was slightly further up the face. So we do that on here. This will run round, it's quite loud. So that'll run round, and I'll kind of have the wedge in here going through here. And again, that was something I just practiced in lockdown. Just lots of wedge heads, grinding and stamping. And then the red belt here is for, once you've taken the material off, this polishes it. Yep. Makes it look nice and shiny. Cutting machine, pretty simple, just on a rail here, cutting the end of the shaft off after we've measured it on our ruler. These are quite unique to TaylorMade, so there's only a few of these, and it just kind of drops in like this, and it will give you a measurement of the exact length of the golf club. And we'll typically cut the shaft and then grip it before we glue it in, so we can get a swing weight, which is our swing weight scale here. And this gives you like it's like a fulcrum, so it basically tells you where the weight is in the golf club. So if someone has a very, very heavy swing weight, it typically means it's quite heavy in the head. Yep. Some guys like to feel that in their lob wedge, heavy in the head. Other guys like to feel it in the hands, so they have a very light swing weight.
Do you know anyone, like, could you cite any examples of who likes a heavier head?
To be honest, I'd say the standard is around D5 in a lob wedge, and most guys are around that. But someone like, so Darren Clark, he plays very thick grips, so his swing weight's quite light. So his swing weight's quite heavy in the grip end, so the head becomes quite light. But we've re-gripped them this week. He was playing jumbos. We've moved him down to mid-size. Right. So hopefully before long he'll be on a standard one. It's a good story actually. We didn't have any mid-size +4 grips. We've checked the other trucks, they've not got any. I've rang the Golf Pride rep, he's not got any. And I've actually gone up to the shop at the top of the town there by the 18th green, and I've asked if they had one set left. So I traded some grips from here with them, so we got it done. So he was happy. But yeah, that's kind of run through of all our equipment and kit on here.
So what have been some of the special requests this week from some of the players? You just got a good example there with DJ and taking a bit of bounce off or giving a little bit more access to the leading edge. Any other requests specific to the old course?
I'll show you a couple of requests we had. So as I said, mostly driving irons and low bounce wedges. But Dustin was on quite a bit this week. We did him a putter, and it's quite unique in that this top line here we actually paint fill for him in black. Usually that's white. And this was after he did some testing at the Kingdom in the US, and he found that when there was no alignment aid on the top of the putter, he squares it up and lines the putter up better. So by filling in that paint line, it kind of takes the visual away from there. Yep. And he's just looking at the putter head. Other than that, I'd say the wedge we did for DJ with the grinding, and Colin I think we built him about 5 or 6 lob wedge options to test in various bounces. We did some MGs, we did some high toes, and he loves doing that at the Open. He does it every year.
Now, do you see the players come through here, or is it just the caddies come and do some of the work, or a bit of everyone? Like we just had Sean, Rory McIlroy's caddy, sitting down here, and then Finno, Tommy Fleetwood's caddy come by.
Yeah. So we kind of, because we're around these guys all the time, you get to know them, you build a friendship with them. Usually the caddies will come on and grab their stuff, so we're quite close to the caddies, but a lot of the time the players will come by too. So I think it was Wednesday or Tuesday, Rory popped up, he was coming up the stairs, and I looked over as to say, what's happened, something wrong, or, is there something we've got to do? And he just said, no, I've just come up for a chat. So he sat on the sofa there and chatted for 10-20 minutes just to get away from the cameras and everything out there, and we just chatted rubbish, and that was that. So some guys, Martin Keimer, we might see him, he's very low maintenance, gets his kit, and he's happy with it for the year. So we might see him on here 3-4 times a year. Whereas other guys, good friend of mine, Haotong Lee, we'll see him on here every day, every week. So Morikawa as well, he's very particular with his golf clubs. He likes knowing what the loft and lies are, the grips. So the guys in the US probably see him quite a lot on the truck. So very player dependent.
Yeah, you've got one of the Australians on that list of players over there, Lucas Herbert, you mentioned him before. Yeah,
he's a great guy. We obviously he played a lot on the European Tour. Recently got his PGA Tour card 2 years ago, I believe. And we miss him a lot, so it's great weeks like this to see him, to catch up with him. He's a great guy, hell of a ball striker as well.
You'd be quite close with Pewey.
Yeah, Pewey's a good guy. Yeah, I love Pewey. Yeah, we're always having a laugh with Pewey. But there's, speaking of sort of special requests, Lucas has a very, very unique grind on his lob wedge, and I wish we had one on here to show you. He basically has the sole of his lob wedge completely grounded off basically because of his technique. So he at impact with his chipping, his hands are ahead of the ball like this. So if you were to do that with a normal wedge like this, the back edge is going to hit first and the club's going to bounce. So what we have to do is grind the whole wedge down to essentially about 2 degrees of bounce. So we manage to keep the width of the wedge, but we just shave it right down and shape it so it sits real flush. So if me or you were to hit it, we would chunk it 100%, because the leading edge is quite square, quite sharp, and it's very, very low bounce. So if you can, at some point, take a look in his bag and check out that lob wedge, because it's scary to look at.
I'll do that.
Yeah, that's kind of the run through of the truck. As I say, it's a little bit busy, a little bit chaotic in here today, but it's been a busy week, but a great week nonetheless.
So there's a gripping station here. This is where you just rip them on, rip them off.
Yeah, so again, that runs on a compressor. So there's just a handle to your left there, which we'll get the club, line it up in here, and we'll clamp it in there. And then you've got a pedal down the bottom there, which releases the fluid. So the fluid will just run through and it's circulated. There we go. So that just circulates itself. So clamp it in, and obviously your double-sided tape. So
you stick the grip on here, get some fluid,
exactly
pour
that.
it over your tape,
exactly that, yeah.
Runs down, and reuse that
so we got
non-flammable, non-toxic grip.
That's fluid. It. So we've got your double-sided tape, and this is just your single-sided. So they're different thicknesses. So some guys will have one layer of this and one layer of this. Some will go 2 for this. It's very unique, very player dependent. Colin Morikawa, again, he's very unique with his golf grips in that he has built up on the bottom hand extra layers of this that's thicker under the bottom hand, so it basically takes the taper out of the shaft. Other guys will do the opposite, they'll have it thicker at the top, so it's very player dependent. And yeah, totally down to feel and how they like it to feel in their hands. But yeah, I think this is a machine just for extracting clubs. So we'll use this when we change the loft sleeves a lot. So we kind of have the ability to, we've got a 1, a 1.5 and a 2 degree loft sleeve. So we can change lie angle and face angle. And this is great. We can pop the shaft in here, extract the sleeve and chuck a fresh one on.
So it's just a bit of heat?
Exactly, yeah, just with we've just got your burner there, and that'll come off in no time, yeah.
Got the rack glue gun over here.
Yeah, so essentially what this is, yeah, you're dead right. A lot of people don't know it was actually used for catching rats. So they'd have this on the floor, and it's so sticky once it cools down that nothing is getting off of it. So we'd just heat this needle here. I think it's actually off. But basically we'd heat that needle there, and what that does is any glue that's in there that's kind of gone firm, it will melt that. Press this trigger here and it will trickle out. Comes out really, really hot, and it's like a really hot liquid. But when it cools down within 20 seconds, it goes firm. So what we can do is inject it into the head of the driver, move it to change CG of the head, so we can make it draw bias, fade bias, higher, lower, and then once it's set, it's set. So you've got to make sure you get it in the right position pretty quick. And that's a great tool we have. Yeah, it's just glue pillows go in the top here, and then the chamber heats it up and it melts.
And
so,
really fine tuning and dialing it in. Beautiful.
Exactly that. And then in here you've got all your, again, when we're talking about tuning it in, these are all of our weights for the drivers. So you've got different weights for your top and bottom weights there. And then also your back weights for the driver. You've got your 1s all the way up to your 13s. So that allows us, like you say, to tune that head weight in, the centre of gravity. We can move it about, make the head lower spinning, higher spinning. And that's just kind of a quite a neat thing we have on here and to be able to do.
It's mate, it's been awesome to do this, and really do appreciate the time. It's
all good.
Once in a lifetime stuff for me, and
yeah,
you'll be making a few people happy, just giving them an insight into what goes on tour here at.
No worries at all.
The biggest, oldest, and best major.
Yeah, it's been a great week. It's been a special week.
And it's not a bad view you got from the workplace
here
too, by the way.
Right next to the range, you can see the beginning, the first stretch down there.
All right, mate. Very good.
Cheers, buddy.
Thank you.
Nice one.